Okay. So, Boot, I've heard a lot about you. Thomas told me a lot about you. Would you like to tell me a little bit about your life?
Well, it's been very exciting, and uh, it's when I was very young, I was hit by a car, and I think it was my fault. I jumped out, let go of my mother's hand, and jumped out in front of this car. And the only reason I lived was it was slowing down to get some gasoline. So that started the whole thing. It would have ended right there, but we my see, I worked in Idaho in a lumber camp,
Hmm.
and that was exciting, and especially the trip out there. The we decided to hitchhike out. Let me get a chair to sit on here. Let me see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Let me look. Let me look. Yeah, I think. And I'll adjust this boots. So, or you want to go to this? Oh,
Oh,
now,
great.
now that's better. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we there was no the gas rationing, so there were no cars. So we decided to hop. Someone said a local freight train was coming by, and so in the middle of the night, I took off my shirt and flagged this train down. God, it was a defense train it was what we call a highballer. Everybody got out of its way, the passenger cars, and just for that train, because you had war supplies going to the South Pacific Sea, going to Tacoma. And anyway, and so I flagged it down. And here was this huge engine, largest engine ever made by the Northern Pacific Railway. So I climbed up the top, and there were four guys in the cab, and they said, "What's wrong?" And I said, "We like to have a ride." And they could throw us in jail. See, it's against the law to stop a train unless it's an emergency. Anyway, when they all looked at this one little guy, he was sitting in this chair and he had rosy cheeks and his overalls been washed and again they were white. Anyway, and so he smiled and he said, "Go jump on the joiner." I said, "What's the joiner?" "Well, that's a cow catcher." So he'll give me time. So we climbed down the ladder and went by this huge machine that was spinning and raring to go. And we got up and sat out in front of it with this in the middle of the night. See, and we went from Miles City, Valley City, North Dakota, all the way to into Montana, and a
Wow.
beautiful warm June day. Anyway, so a lot of exciting things that happen like that.
Hmm.
Uh, we then of course I got into the service, and then we really had some exciting things happen. My life was saved four times by a
Four
voice,
times.
four times by a little voice. Yeah.
Wow.
The first time was I bailed out of this airplane and waited till it spun by me, and then I pulled the ripcord, and the parachute didn't open. So I'm waiting
Gosh.
and waiting, and finally this little voice says, "Pull it again." And I said, I argued, can you imagine hearing God as my co-pilot trying to save my life? And I argue, see. And I said, hey, it's not going to do any good. See, the D ring is way out here. Pulling it, boom, boom, it opened and I hit the ground. I think 3 seconds from splashdown. So
Gosh.
if I waited three more, I wouldn't be here. See? Anyway, so that was one of the four experiences in World War II, and a couple of times during the Korean War, flying P-51s, that my life was saved. So maybe there's a reason I'm supposed to be making this talk.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, and what else would you like to hear about?
What were the other what were the other situations where your life was saved? You said you have been also in the Korean War. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, during the Korean War, I had enough time. I didn't have to go overseas because in World War II, I had a whole tour over there. And so I volunteered to go over because I had this friend that wanted to fight in be a combat fighter pilot. Anyway, so we both signed up and we were going to go overseas. And then I thought, but that's a dumb war. It's contrived. It was baloney. See, what happened was that the John Foster Dulles, our Secretary of State, said our sphere of influence is Japan. In other words, we will not protect South Korea. Well,
Mm.
they didn't know that that gave the green light to the North Koreans to invade. And then, of course, as soon as they invaded, our Congress declared war on North Korea. See, and that
Okay.
so, but they knew that was going to happen. See, so it was just, I think it was contrived.
Mm.
Anyway, and I have three kids and a wife, and why I don't have to go overseas. So I
Mm.
reneged. And the guy that took my place was killed over
Oh
there.
gosh.
Of
Wow.
course, yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, but I do want to mention that during my squadron protected the Twin Cities from any airplane that were off course or so, but we didn't know, of course, you can't see what kind of an airplane it is. It might be a Russian airplane. Anyway, the we intercepted every airplane that came into our airspace for 2 years.
Wow, long time.
On 9/11,
Mm.
4 airplanes were not even tapped on
Yeah.
one day. You know, it was all baloney, so that's what bothers me is that Trump keeps saying there's a secret government out there. Well, I don't know. Maybe it looks like there is because these wars are contrived.
Hmm.
The, I had a friend that fought in Vietnam, and I said, "What was it?" He said, "I don't want to talk about it."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, what was the reason for we were over there?" And he said, "The reason we were there was because of the Catholic Church." He said the Vietnamese hated the French and they hated the Catholic Church. And he said that he told me that only 2% of the people in South Vietnam were Catholics. 2%,
Mm.
98%, and that's not a very good percentage. And we backed those people. That's what the war was all about. It was about Catholicism. And they won't
Gosh.
in the history book. See?
Mm. Mm. Mm.
So anyway, but so I think what we have to do now, today, I'm very upset about how everybody is starting to fight, separating people, and there's no unity anymore, and there's no
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that we have to worry about is get people to wake up to realize, it's in the book, and some book has said, ye be gods and sons and daughters of the Most High. And that's true. And
Hmm.
so we have to start acting like that. We have to start having thoughts that are godly. We have to start using words that are godly, not put people down. We want to lift people up. And
Hmm.
we need to create works of God. And that's what I think we can do. Yeah.
I think you have done this in your life a lot with your home, with your garden, with the books you write. You created a lot of works of God.
Yeah. I have 9 books I wrote. Some of them are little more or less pamphlets, but they're on varied subjects. The first one was on art, and the second one was on city planning. And then I had 4 books on skiing, and then I have a couple books on on consciousness. In other words, higher conscious enlightenment. And the the but I've never promoted them. See, I've never done this. I've never gone out and trying to get any publicity for them because
Hmm.
I always thought the most important thing was to build a house that
Hmm.
people can see because almost everybody's from Missouri. You got to show them. You got to show me. See, and so. I think right now, I want to do is build a little ski area, but it's
Oh.
beginners, just for beginners. It's a green slope. And what's unique about it would be built by the locals. And I have a new way of building houses. Instead of using wood, I use rebar, and then I cover the rebar with a wire mesh. Then we put concrete on top of that. And then we go in and quickly put in the electrical and the plumbing and the windows and doors. And then we just foam it, see? And very quickly. And then we carve the foam to make it smooth. And but we can carve things in the ceiling if we want to, like in the old days in Germany, you know. Anyway, and so we can do this very quickly for one-tenth the cost. And so, and of course, I found out that people shouldn't live in boxes.
Hmm.
And the first 9 months of our life was not in a box.
No.
The Indians say the teepee was round and they put their teepees in a circle and everything. And Black Elk talks about this and how everything is round when the earth is round and the moon and the sun and all these and everything is round. Everything goes around, but we shouldn't live in boxes.
Hmm.
And so I took a bunch of kids from Minneapolis in junior high school in eighth grade, if you recall, you're very nervous. You're going through puberty. See, you're just like a live nerve and see, you're busy moving and twitching and playing internet. Anyway, and so I took my eighth grade class down to the Minneapolis Planetarium and to see this light show. And we get in there, and the kids are, like I said, like live nerve ends. Anyway, so the librarian pushed a button and this dome comes down over the chairs. And these kids settle down and they quit jabbering and quit moving and they quit sitting there quietly. And I thought, what's going on here? The machine is ugly, black machine is still there on top of the chairs are still hard wood chairs and the dome is dusty and dirty. Ah, the form affects
Yeah.
behavior. See?
Yeah.
So, but by this time, of course, uh, a guy by the name of Walter Gropius had a famous architect from Baden-Baden.
Hmm.
And he was kicked out of Germany by Hitler and he went to England and then he came to the United States and became head of the Harvard Design School, even though he wasn't an architect, but his ancestors had been, his fathers and grandfathers. And he would fought in World War One and gotten medals when apparently they didn't even give medals in those days in World War One, but he got two medals. Anyway, so here he is in Harvard, and so I wrote him a letter. See, I said, you got it wrong. It's not boxy. Everything must, nothing in nature is boxy or flat. It's
No.
all curved, and the human form is curved, and we must start. We're designing with on the dome and use the dome. Gosh, he wrote me back. He said, and I got it. I got the letter, a copy of the letter, and he said, "Your reasoning is sound." And he said, I hope you will live long enough to see your idea realized. And that guy, so I want to build this little ski village. It's all domed, and of course, no cars. We have cars. We'll have carriages. We'll have sleighs in the wintertime. In the summer, we'll anyway, and then we'll have um, palm with T-bars so that people get exercise going up the hill. See? And then we'll have um, and what's unique about this, by the way, I call it Boot Hill. See? Every frontier village out here used to have a Boot Hill. See? But anyway, so so anyways, I'm forgetting what I was talking about. Boot Hill. Okay, the important thing is it's going to be run by a charter school. you know.
Okay.
So kids should be kicked out of the nest, see, when they're 18, 13 years old.
Hmm.
But where are they going to go? Well, Rick could send kids to military school and the girls could go to, finishing school, but the poor can't do that.
No.
They can go to my school. See, it's a charter school. I call it the Trail Corps. And what they can do is they go to school in the morning, then in the afternoon and evening and weekends, they work at the ski area. One week they're flipping hamburgers, the next week they're selling t-shirts, the next week they're ski instructors, the next week they're ski patrol. See, and they're having more fun. See, and it's going to revitalize the educational
I
system.
see.
Yeah, and I have a master's degree and I've taught in private schools and public schools and I had my own school and I was on U.S. Army schools and so I have had a little experience and I think I have around 12 ideas that will work. One is water births. People should not, you should be born and I saw a picture of a friend of mine's wife giving birth to this baby, and she's in the water, and she's up to the neck, but she's no weight, and she delivers this baby, and here the baby comes out, and here she's watching the baby come out, no pain,
Oh,
and quiet, and warm, and the baby comes out. And by the way, the guy, my friend, said. I saw him about a year later, and he said that kid is the calmest person you have ever met. And,
mm,
well, the same thing during when the mother is pregnant, everything goes to the baby. Any stress is,
sure.
of course. And
Hmm.
so during the pregnancy, the mother should be taken care of. We should divide our cities so they're in neighborhoods, so they take care of these mothers while they're in pregnancy. And then, of course, when they're born, then the village starts training the kids up until they're 5. See, this
Ah, okay.
period of their life is from the time they conceive until 4 or 5. We don't do anything, our school systems. But see, one little school system does in northern Italy. Um, and but the whole village raises the kids up until they're 5 years old, and then they go to school.
Mm,
And and that little school was been nominated by the United Nations as the best preschool in the world
mm,
because
mm.
the care, the village, it takes a village, see. So anyway, so I got some ideas of that on, and so I want to build it, and then I want to build a chapel. See, I think we have to encourage people to be spiritual. We
Yeah,
have to realize in people that there's another world out there that's
yeah.
bigger than the temporal world. This extra temporal is amazing,
Mm,
and we can tap into that. And
mm,
so people don't know this, but
mm,
people that do are, and as you grow in consciousness, you're able to do that. And
mm,
as you grow in consciousness, you become happier. Become more successful. You
mm,
become more prosperous. You have better friends. There's always reasons to become enlightened and to raise our consciousness.
mm,
And
mm.
so that's what I want to do is to build a town just for people. Maybe you've heard, but maybe your audience hasn't heard of this idea of of consciousness and what that's all about. Well, there was uh, uh, power versus force. That was,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, the guy that wrote Power versus Force, um, he he used kinesiology to find out where people were and where ideas were on the scale of consciousness, where he made a map or scale. And
Hmm. Hmm.
up top is 1,000, and that's for Jesus and Buddha. And then down below here at 600 becomes enlightenment, and 500 is mainly light. And then 400 is the scale of on the scale is that's where the um, real brains are. See, that's the ego Mexico is at 400, and then down below 200. You don't want anything to do with those people that are below 200. They
mm,
could kill you and you couldn't care less, see. They
mhm,
wouldn't in a minute. And so what we want to do is try to get people above 500. And that's where my idea is, and I call it in Latin, D is 500, see. So we're looking for LQ, light quotient, D, people with 500. And so those are the people who will live in this town of the future I want to build, see, with
mhm,
new architecture, a new transportation system, new school system, and
mm,
a new economic system, see,
mm,
because years ago people said, but how are you going to build, how are you going to pay for your monorail? How are you going to pay for your schools? How are you going to pay for your civic buildings? How are you going to pay for your ski area? How are you going to pay for all that? Well, I flunked out of economics. So of course I came up with a new economic system that I'll probably, if I'm sure it'll work, and I'll tell you why. Uh, anyway, so if and I call it synergistic capitalism, and when it's adopted, it's going to work. It's going to be beautiful.
mm.
They're going to give me the Nobel Prize for economics down in
Yeah,
economics. So I thought that'd be really funny to go to Sweden where my grandparents would come from. And my grandfather was born there, and my grandmother's parents were born there.
in Sweden.
Anyway, so and this new economic system, basically what it is you all the land and all the real estate in the town is owned by the people in the town, not by Wall Street, not by rich Texas, not by speculators, but by the people in the town. You
Mm.
see, communism, guess what? Every golf course in America probably runs on the same idea. You cost so much to join, but if you when you leave, you get your money back.
Oh,
No
yeah,
inflation, no speculation. And that's what happened, ruined Aspen, ruined Vale. And then all these cities became popular, and of course the value of the land goes up, and the poor people can't live there.
yeah.
So my idea is to have the government go out and buy cheap land in Nebraska and then put a fast tubular rail, boom, see, from Denver right there to the area. And so
Mm,
people live with this new economic system and a new architecture, a new village, with new city planning. See, then they can work in Denver, but they can get there in 400 miles an hour. They can get there in a half hour. See,
mhm.
and so that's what we have to go. And let's see now, what was his name? Who thought that the ocean's going to rise and Colorado's going to be on on the Gulf? Anyway, forget his name. He um, he says that the world it possibly is going to really change, and that most of China will be underwater, as will Europe will be underwater, and,
Mm.
and we're going to have to move people, and of course the we won't maybe the population won't be as large anymore because people of high consciousness and like this new era that we're going to be going into after the shift occurs. But those people of low consciousness won't be able to handle it, see. And
Mhm.
I just have two little stories. About 2 years ago, I'm awakened and every bone in my body is aching and screaming.
Oh
It's
gosh.
unbelievably painful. And I said, I'm going to endure it maybe for 2 more minutes. And I said, what's going on? And the pain went away. Thank you, God. And this little voice said, we want you to know what it's like to be of low consciousness when the shift occurs. Well, I wasn't going to say that on anybody. So I don't suspect, I don't, we got uh, Kim Jong-un about 50 on the scale of consciousness, way below 200. I got Putin, below 200. I've got Xi below 200. I have Trump below 200. I got all these people that are going to leave. and all their minions. See, everybody that believes in what they believe, they're all low consciousness. See, so
Mm, mm,
so maybe a population. So we'll build a new world, and we won't have all this fighting going on.
mm,
We'll helping one another and lifting up one another. It's going to be amazing the future we have. And
mm.
my little chapel I want to build. By the way, I think you've maybe been to Barcelona, Spain, and have seen the chapel there, the cathedral that Gaudi built.
Gaudi.
Yeah. And
Mm,
so I want to build a little chapel, but
mm.
using the framing technique, I can build it 100th the time because we've been working on that chapel like for 100 years. Anyway, but it's beautiful, they say. I haven't seen it. But anyway, so we can build this little chapel, and in the basement we have a mausoleum. And so we put the ashes of people of someone county in there. And then we have a little tape recorder, see, and before they die, we take the tape recorder and movie, and what we do is and you can push a button and you can see this person tell about the happiness he had, disappointments he had in his life, and that can be kind of neat. Anyway, so people need to I needing a chapel for the people, and we need the ski area, and then we need a town of tomorrow that will be built, be experimental, and I call it experimental prototype skiers town of tomorrow, EPSTOT, see, and then people can call it what they want when they move in, see. But we got 500 people that are brave enough to move in, and they own all this town. They own everything, and so and you can't start a business, you can start a business on your own, but if you do need help, you get the help from the town, then the town gets a percentage of that business. Let's say you want to start a brewery and you like to drink, but you don't know anything about brewing, you know anything about selling, you don't know anything about it. But see, you go and joint venture with the town, so you might have 5% of that brewery, but 5% of millions is a lot more than 100% of nothing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Anyway, so basically that's what I want to do is in the near future is to build a ski area, this chapel in the town of tomorrow.
That's wonderful. This fascinating ideas. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the buildings you are doing and how you do that? Because I think it's fascinating to build round. Round is nature.
Well, yeah, the first of all, we use this house I'm sitting here, living in here. It was built with rebar, but
Yeah.
then I put it with a paper backed wire mesh. And
Okay.
I foamed both sides of what the windows in, and I foamed the inside and the outside. And then I bought my own equipment. And then but now it's going up in price, and of course it's very expensive. But anyway, I lost all my equipment. But then you carve it down the way you want to, and you could build this very quickly. So in this house is something like 7 bedrooms and 3 baths, and
Wow.
it's sculpture, 15 domes, and there are 13 different levels. And so it's kind of an interest, and there's nothing square here. Everything is curved. And the
That's
people,
amazing.
kids especially like it. Everybody likes it. You know. And so, but now I decided that it's much better to put up, make your armature out of rebar, and then cover it with a wire mesh, and then put plaster on it. See, you can have a blown on there with shotcrete. See, you can have somebody smooth in now. But that's very quickly we've done, and then we go inside. Of course, after the windows and doors are in, then we go ahead and put the electrical. You know what to drill holes through all the studs. See, you just tape it to the wall, then foam it in. And so it'd be very quickly done. But now I have, uh, I thought about building the town of the future. And I thought maybe we can maybe do better than that.
Mm.
But there are other ideas about, of course, I'm just starting out here, and we'll get a lot of ideas from people. much better than maybe my idea. But one idea what I had was to build a tree. It looks like a tree trunk. There would be an elevator inside. And
Oh,
then it had
great.
these limbs go come out the trunk. And in these, and then on top of these branches, and they could be supported by wires, you'd have these domed homes that would be made out of fiberglass.
Ah,
And
fabulous.
remember when you were a kid, you go to Easter, you'd have these Easter eggs you'd open up and then there'd be little jelly beans in there inside.
Mhm.
Well, we could do make these domes like that, see, with of two pieces. And so then you could put them in maybe five different varieties, sizes. Okay,
Mhm.
well,
Mhm.
what you could do is you can choose what size you want. Let's say you're a lover, you want a big bedroom, see? Well, let's say you're a makes sound a cook, you want a big kitchen. But otherwise, your little tiny kitchen, little tiny bedroom, and little tiny little living room for maybe two or three people. Because downstairs we have I call it cluster living. You're living down there with all, and you have a nice big kitchen. You have a 12 seat dining room, and you have a nice big lounge for parties and things. And that's shared. It's called co-housing. See, and now it hasn't. It's very popular for the rich. See, all these builders build co-housing for the rich, but not for the poor.
Right.
The Let's have spas and they have tennis courts and they have, they have uh, weight rooms and they have, everything. But the poor people don't. But I think we can do that for the poor, and it wouldn't be that expensive. And add maybe a storage room also down there, and an art room and a library. And
Mhm.
so all this would be owned by the people that live there.
Wow.
And you put these into clusters in the villages. You'll build little villages, and now each village will have something different. So you might want to go there to swim in an Olympic pool. I don't know. And over here it has a hockey rink. See, and over here we have maybe um, um, physics laboratory or some kind of chemical. Anyway, so they all have things that can attract people. So
Hmm.
each other. They don't sit there in this one little house and they move around. And of course, then they have the ski area that they would all go over and ski and have fun
Hmm.
on. Uh, and then I thought maybe why not build these domed homes? See, build mound towns.
Hmm.
And we have these domed houses piled one top of another when it was filled in with dirt and little passageways and then covered with bushes and trees and flowers and it could be a mountain town. It could really be fun. See, and then down and below inside would be this co-housing unit, see. And that would be really fun to build and people could have fun
Oh,
building it.
yeah.
Build their own house, see?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think we have a future ahead of us, but if we quit shooting each other and quit
Oh, yeah.
hitting each other and it just
It's
makes it,
sad.
know. So anyway,
I heard that you do a lot of holy geometry when you build, that you use holy geometry in the houses and also in the windows. And so, would you like to explain a little bit about that?
yeah, Drumlow, did you ever meet Drumlow Melchizedek? You ever meet him?
No, I did not meet him. I just know something about his writings.
Yes, yeah, I have him up there with Jesus and Buddha above 1,000, and
Mhm.
he was really he never badmouthed anybody except one person, and that's the guy in Australia who was kind of uh, um, charismatic person people wanted to listen to. I was interested in what he was saying, and and uh, and I listened to both of them. See, and
Mhm.
Trimble said, "Don't have anything to do with this person because he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's talking about." See, Trimble got this information from Thoth. who was, of course, the goddess of ancient Egypt, and then he moved over to Greece and became Hermes, the messenger of the god
Hmm.
from for the Greeks. And anyway, so and then Jesus, and then Grimble had three angels that gave him information. But this guy down there in Australia, I don't quote me, but I think four people died and maybe eight went insane because of his teaching. See, and he, for instance, the Merkaba, you know, so
I don't know about them.
no. Anyway, and by the way, the government of Australia tried to find the guy. I guess he skipped the country. And
Oh
I don't
gosh.
know if he's alive or not, or whatever happened to that. I don't know.
Hmm.
But so, yeah, I think that there is maybe a magic formula for helping sacred geometry that will help us.
So you use the sacred geometry in building?
Yeah, I'm sure you can, but
Mhm.
again, I don't like to get too close to the Bucky Fuller idea of triangular domes, because once you've seen one, you've seen them all. See, this right over here, 10 feet from where I'm sitting, I built a geodesic dome, but it's not a geodesic. It's 74 triangles, all different sizes, because it's asymmetrical dome. See, it's not round.
Mhm.
It's you can see it, can't you? I can, it's smaller than here. Let me. Anyway, so and it's very, I think it's comfortable.
Ah, yeah, I see. That's beautiful. Gosh.
Yeah. Well, it's not very beautiful now because we got plastic over it because it's raining. But when you pull the plastic up, it's all outdoors. See. Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah.
And I've heard that you have outside also a Merkaba chair.
I didn't hear that.
The Merkaba chair outside.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Mhm. Would you
Very good.
like to tell us a little bit about
Yes,
what
yes.
that
You tell
is?
them a little bit about it, and then we'll go outside.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions that people might be interested in?
Yeah, I'm interested in your art. What are your art projects?
Art, your art project.
Yes, my art project.
Mhm.
Yeah, out here in my backyard, I have a sunken garden, sunken grass, and I want to build something like six sculptures there. I
Ah,
call Garden of the Garden of the Immortals, and the immortal would be um, Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Stalking Wolf. This is Stalking Wolf was a Apache Indian
yeah,
who could apparently heal people were were going to die of cancer, and they completely healed them. So
yeah,
he was an amazing person, and a lot of books written about him by one of his students, and then we got um, Patanjali, who's about 3,300 BC maybe,
mhm,
and he he impressed me, and because he got me um, his 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 system of meditating, which is called the Raja Yoga or the
mhm.
Prince Yoga, which all you did was sit and sit quietly, and you calmed and you got rid of your monkey chatter,
Yeah,
and then you sat there and you tapped into the source. See, and that made sense to me. The idea of doing all these exercises and things, and that was much easier just to sit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so
But can you tell them about the
oh,
Merkaba chair?
or then I want to put let's see who else. Oh, Tom Brown Jr. The stocking wall. and Jumbo. I want to put Jumbo up there because I think he was important in my life. You know, and he's immortal. And then I have one more space left over to get the picture of the skier right behind the computer there on that. I love to ski, and I started skiing when I was 5 years old,
Oh,
and
that early.
my parents didn't start me ski. I started my ski. I stole my brother's skis when I was myself too. And I remember that there was an old man who came by, and 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 anyway, and so this old man said, "Little boy, be careful." I said, "Careful, these darn skis keep coming off every time I go uphill because there's just a toe strap, see. Why don't they figure out some way that they don't come off?" You know, I'm 5 years old. And of course, finally, my mother bought me a pair of jumping skis, and they just had a hinge so your heel came up, but it didn't have a front throw. It had kind of a lever on the heel, and of course, the heel you kind of carved so that fit in there. Anyway, and so I got a pair of those and I walked down, ski down to this little hill, maybe 2 blocks from my house. And I went up, climbed up, and I turned to the right and I climbed up and turned to the left. And no teacher or anything, I just did by myself. See, I ran home and told my brother, and he said, "Oh, you didn't do that. Come see." So he came down there and watched me, and I went and climbed up and turned to the right and turned to the left. Yeah, I'm getting it there. So then I got all my friends to get skis. And so every day we go and ski, and we play hockey until the snow came in Minnesota. Of course, it always gets cold before the snow. Anyway, so um, so I've had a very interesting life in skiing we solved the problem of how to keep the skis from coming off. My brother about 4 years older, and he and a friend used to cut rubber bands to make rubber guns. See,
Ah,
inner tubes and these rings out of rubber inner tubes. And anyway, so you put those around your ankles, and then you put your in your toe strap, and then you put the rubber band over it. So now the ski won't come off. And it's great for cross country skiing and for going uphill and for jumping. We built jumps, but of course you couldn't turn because you turn your foot and the rubber band would twist. So finally, with these new these new bindings, we can, and then of course we learned to, we put the heel should be down right on top of the ski that have more control. The trouble is that the ski would come off, so the binding would come off. So then we have the strap that came from Arlberg, the Arlberg strap, of course. And there, presto, we've got the bear trap. We call it but you can't get out of it. So when you fall, you don't roll. Anyway, I see these people rolling. Oh, it makes me shudder because we learned to land on your thighs, see, and slide along, and nobody got hurt. Anyway, so I skied mostly all the major areas in Italy because when I was a school teacher in Europe, we had all this free time, see, so I could ski Italy and France and Val d'Isère and Courchevel and we ski in Switzerland, so Davos
mm,
and ski all Austria and then of course the fall of the year and in the spring of the year the best place to ski was Zugspitze, eh? Right there in Garmisch. We take the train, the train up to the top, the Schneeferner house, we'd ski there. So
wow.
anyway, we've had an interesting life and especially in the skiing and love the skiing.
So you did a lot of skiing. Do you also ski today?
Here's a picture of
Oh,
me
wow.
skiing here
Yeah.
with the powder.
Are you
So,
still going for skiing?
well, I didn't last year, but so right then this year I wanted to learn. I want not I want to practice again. I have a little cross country trip through the trail through the snow, through the woods just on the other side of the river. And there's a bridge. So just as you go across the bridge, and then this little stripe, but it's all flat, but it's beautiful because it's woody, no houses, and it's in a floodplain. Anyway, and then of course it's right along next to the river, which doesn't freeze in the winter. So it's a beautiful little track that we'll have.
Wow.
Yeah. And maybe we can have a little have glue line here. I have my own recipe for glue line.
Wonderful. Boot, would you like to show us a little bit from your garden?
Yeah, he wants to see the garden.
Oh, you want to go outside and
Yeah.
see?
Yep,
Okay,
please.
do that.
Yeah. And Booth, can you tell Walter about the Merkaba,
Oh.
the start?
Okay, I learned about the Merkaba from Guru Melchizedek, who, by the way, has written a bunch of books, but the two famous ones is The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life. They're two volumes, but they're fascinating books, and you should enjoy those. Uh, and anyway, he he said the Merkaba goes way back to thousands of years, maybe way back to ancient Sumeria. And but of course the ancient Egyptians believed in Merkaba. The Merkaba is what it is. It's a solid triangle, which is a quadra, quadrahedron. It's
Hmm.
four and then you have one pointed up and one pointed down, and twisted a little bit. And it's called a star tetrahedron. And that's basically what it is. So a Merkaba is you visualize sitting inside of a Merkaba, three Merkabas. One Merkaba is going counterclockwise,
Hmm.
9/10 the speed of light. Now, don't go any faster than that. And then the right hand one, one's going to the right, that's the feminine, and that is going at the ratio of 21 to 34. And you don't have to know that. It will just automatically happen. And then what you do, then there's one Merkaba sitting still, standing. Anyway, you visualize this, and then what you can do is manifest stuff because of this movement, see, of this
Yeah,
going
I see.
pressure, whatever this and Drew said you can manifest things. And he and he said, but be careful because don't experiment. Just do what I just got you saying. And if you in his book, The Ancient Secret of the Power of Life, he tells of these 18 breaths you take, and we will be teaching that here soon. So, and built, I had the shop teacher at the high school build a Merkaba out of copper tubing, and inside the copper tubing, he has a rebar, and so he welded his rebar together, and then so that when copper comes together, he covered that with copper, and so it's all a copper. And I built I call it a sky hook,
Mm.
and
Mm.
it will hold this thing up in the air. And then I put a bunch of pulleys there, and then the idea was someone could pull you up and into place, and you get a little chair, and it's inside this Merkaba,
Mm.
and next to the river and the mountain in the background. It's a beautiful sight. Anyway, uh, the trouble was that the pulleys, I needed to double the number of pulleys. So
Mhm.
it was attached, they call it chain hoist. You've all been in garages where the guy has a hoist with a bunch of pulleys that look like pulleys. I guess they are. Anyway, and you pull the engines out of cars with the chain hoist, called chain hoist. So that's what I'm gonna put out there. And
Mhm.
so you could even work it from yourself, see, while you're sitting in the chair. And you'll see it out there, but it's beautiful. And I think Trimble said that ancient, maybe Mars, used to be apparently like Earth. They had atmosphere and the water and animals and people of there. Well, it was destroyed by war between people, can you imagine? And then he said that Lemuria, which was an ancient civilization in the Pacific Ocean that reached from the Hawaiian Islands down to Easter Island, that was destroyed by scientists who were trying to figure out using Merkaba. And then he said the Atlantis was destroyed by scientists also working on trying to work on the Merkaba. And then Trimble said that there's a thing called the Philadelphia Story during World War II. Our U.S. Navy was trying to use the Merkaba to make battleships invisible, ships invisible. And they didn't know what they're doing, and these people were caught halfway between that dimension, this, and I don't know anything about it, but apparently the rumors have the people once really suffered. So
Mm,
we don't want to do any experiments with Merkaba. We just use this idea that Jumbo taught about using
mm.
the creating forces and to create a better world, not to conquer, not
It's
to,
fascinating.
yeah, yeah.
And it would help people to heal the hate, to get back into the heart, to love, because there is so much hate around.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing.
Mm. Would you like to show us a little bit from your garden, please?
Can we show them the garden? Let's do that, okay? Okay, so see you in a minute.
Okay, see you in a minute.
I'll move the computer around.
Well, if you say, I'll say, in a move, give me a move.
Okay, this is the area with the dome
Yeah, I
here.
see. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Here's
Wow.
the kitchen,
Yeah,
and here's um the living room.
yeah.
Here's the inside. Here you can see all the rounded.
Yeah, it's beautiful. All rounded
Yeah.
interiors. I love that.
So we're gonna go outside, Walter, here.
A beautiful entrance.
This is the Garden of the Immortals here.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Ah, okay. So there is foil around.
Okay, and then here we're gonna walk down to the river. Here's a boot.
Yeah, beautiful. That's a lot of work. Wow. Wow.
And
Beautiful
there,
area.
yeah, let me get my jacket on, Walter. It's very cold and we're getting a little sprinkle here. Let me go
Yes,
back
sure.
here.
So you said it's raining?
No, it's just a drizzle here. Let me
Okay,
let me
then
let
it,
me
it
just
might it might be better to get the computer inside.
yeah. Once you know what I can do, Walter? Let me connect with the iPhone so I can go outside.
Oh, you're losing connection?
No, no, it's just that it's raining. There's a little drizzle.
Oh, gotcha.
So we want to show him the garden and the chair.
Yeah, you know, I think the Mercator screen's worth it.
Yes.
Like the history on that is pretty interesting. Goes back to like the Sumerians and sacred geometry and all that.
Yes, we were talking about that. Tell about you know what? So let me connect with the iPhone,
Yes,
And
please
that
do
way,
this additionally. Please do this additionally.
Okay. Well, again, leave it up. Is anything you need, okay? Okay.
oh, there you go.
Wonderful.
Okay, so here, let's go out with okay, here's food. We're using the iPhone. Should we go out to the Mercado? Yes. Okay, yes. We can show that. That's a good dormer we put in the living room. See? Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Uh, Someone stole our mountains. You can't see the mountains in the back. No, you can't see them out with all the yeah, it's a little cloudy now, Walter, and we're getting a little bit of a drizzle.
I see.
But
Well,
here, let's
I
walk
think
down here.
in Colorado it's getting winter, right?
Yes, yes, we're in the fall right now. You can see all the leaves turning.
Yeah, beautiful.
This is like an amphitheater here. And then there's over there like a dining room. Here you can see the river. This is the Blue River.
Oh, I see. Beautiful. Wow. That's really a wonderful garden. It's more like a park.
Yeah, it's
Amazing. Ah, there is this Merkaba chair, right?
yes. Thank you. And here's the boat is coming over here. Here's some instructions he has on it.
I see.
It says here, halt, you're trespassing. This sculpture is a Merkaba hanging on but please these are kind of like a warning for people not to. Here's the chair.
Hmm.
Kind of neat, eh? You
Yeah,
like
it's
it?
wonderful.
Yeah. So we can make you lowered, see, and then you can go and sit in the chair, and then we'll raise it up to where it is now, and then of course you can meditate there with the you can hear the river. Maybe you can hear the river, and right now we have clouds in the sky. So don't move that too fast. We're too okay. So
Beautiful.
it's, we built this. I call it the sky hook, and instead of building a next one we build will be like a triangle,
I
three
see.
towers coming up, and then in the middle we'll have the Merkaba hanging down from the middle, and that would be a little bit easier than maybe better than the skyhook that I built. But anyway, it's just very nice. I sat in there for a few minutes. I
Mm.
started to feel peaceful
Yeah,
and and to be so we'll see if it works. You want to go back? Yeah. Any more questions on the Merkaba, Walter? Or do you want to go back?
no, that's okay. I think we are so far we are finished, so we can go back.
Okay, so we'll go back inside. Let me hold your arm like this. Yeah. Okay. I can move faster. Okay, great. Yeah. You can maybe show me the new dormer we're putting in the north bedroom. Ah, okay. And we can maybe see straight ahead of us here. You can see these two little gazebos we've got. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm going to show you a couple more things Boot wants you to see.
Yes, please.
There's here's a kind of a amphitheater, I call it, where we can go and have campfires right here for maybe 60 people. See?
Wow.
And this is right next to the river.
Hmm.
But then in the background, you can see a gazebo, and that was built for to build a fire. When it was snowing outside, you could put drapes on the four corners.
Wonderful.
Look at this blue spruce, Walter. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, beautiful tree.
And here we're getting to the gazebo here. Watch out
Yeah.
here. The first group of that gazebo is for watch out here. Fire. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful building.
Thank you. So
Beautiful
for
building.
cooking here, right? This would be for
Hmm.
here's like the dining room area here.
Yeah.
What are these cabins here? That cabin there. You want to show them which is the one you want to show them over here? This one over here. This way. Yeah, Boot wants to show you, Walter, something that's under construction, so you can see
Yes,
that.
please.
Okay. This one here. This tree here. This is interesting. This is a tree trunk. You'll see in a minute. Uh, right down here. This was a live 60-foot tree, and it was a live spruce, beautiful. And
Hmm.
it broke off in the middle of a storm, and it broke off at 8 feet there, or 10 feet. It fell on top of this house.
Oh, gosh.
Didn't do anything. It didn't even poke a hole when one of the branches went through. It would have destroyed a stick-built house.
Yes, sure.
So it's not only uh, it's also free from fire because there's concrete on the outside. So forest fire won't burn it down. See, so we just cut a hole in the roof and we put a new roof on, and we added this little dormer, this new dormer. And oh, let me show them that. Let me show them. Yeah, this is
Beautiful.
like a new dorm. This is what he's building. He just yeah.
Hmm. So the inside is coated with polyurethane foam, right?
Yes, yes.
Wonderful. Very, very creative.
So let's go back. Yeah. So here's a picture to see all the different zones. Now there's a snow pipe coming up. I'm going to put a sculpture around it. Maybe a bear trying to
Yeah.
get a beehive above it there.
Sounds
So I'll put a
amazing.
little sculpture around that chimney. Then there's another chimney on the north bedroom. Maybe have a little girl with a parasol. So you just don't have this pipe coming out of the roof. Here's another little.
Wow.
Here. Oh, this is Boot's bedroom. I mean, this is.
I see.
Go here for my tools. This tool going to my tools. Oh, that's your tool shed here. Yeah, tool shed.
I love the surrounded forms. It's like a piece of the landscape.
Yeah, isn't it incredible? Yeah. So this is like the tool shed here.
Yeah.
Now you can see the Garden of the Immortals, all the little places where the stands and where the sculptures will be. They'll be about a little bit bigger than life size, a little bit bigger. So that's the Garden of our Immortals.
Hmm.
And this is the entrance.
Yeah. That's where our round trip started. These buildings are really pieces of art, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. So, Walter, any further questions? Let me get on with it.
No, thank you. I think this was quite a great interview, and people will be amazed about these wonderful things which you showed us.
Yep, Walter, one thing, Boot, can you tell Walter more about your life-saving experiences with the angels? Yeah, well, let's see. We're coming back from Borneo.
Oh,
This is we were flying P-38s, and it was an amazing airplane. It could outturn a Zero, outturn a Spitfire, which could outturn any German plane, and it was amazing plane. It could carry as much as the original B-17 bomber. So it was we could drop to carry 2,000 pound bombs
ah, it's a
on this.
lot.
And what was interesting about it was it wouldn't stall. If you take an airplane up, eventually it quits flying, see, and then it falls off and then goes into a spin. Well, P-38 wouldn't do that because it was had enough power with these two engines, but it wouldn't hover, of course. But it would go down, and then as it went down, you could turn it, and then you could just kick a rudder and cut a Zero right in half. See, so
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
you could just you could turn it on a dime. Anyway, we're coming back from Borneo, and we were stationed at a place called Zamboanga in southern Mindanao. It's a archipelago way down the bottom, and then there was this airfield. And it was the Navy that was there, and the U.S. Marines were there, and then we had three squadrons of P-38s. Anyway, so we often go to our missions were basically to cover the Aussie landings that they go and get these little Japanese outposts that MacArthur skipped in an island hop around. So we would cover those landings and those flights, and then we'd also support this infantry that had fought the German Japanese infantry. But then we hit oil fields in Borneo. See, the Japanese, there's no oil there, and so and that's of course why we went to war was that we of course we knew this was going to happen. That we gave Japan we sold all the oil she wanted and all the iron ore she wanted. Then we cut it off, and there she was. She couldn't exist without oil or without uh, fighting, of course, without any metal or iron ore. So they when invaded, there were fields of Balikpapan, which was in southern eastern Borneo. Then the northwest part was Brunei Bay. Then there was another oil field on the northeast side called, I can't remember. Anyway, we're coming back from the oil fields, and we became separated, the four P-38s, and finally we saw them way down below us, and of course we're back maybe 500 miles behind enemy line or more, and so my element leader, I was number four man. He turned and he dive down to go to catch up with these guys. They're at sea level and we're at 30,000 feet. Well, I immediately put down my dive flaps and I immediately brought my throttles back, but then he kept pulling away from me, see? And
Okay.
so I gave a throttle, pulled up my dive flaps and got back in formation. We're going straight down. Within a couple of seconds, we hit the speed of sound, which uh, we called anyway, hit the speed of sound. And when you do that, there's no controls of the airplane. This,
Oh,
this, this nothing. Yeah. My cane has as much control as that P-38 does. There's no control. They're going straight down doing speed of sound, 660 miles an hour, and I can't get out of it. So I
oh
was
God.
going to pull out. I reached up to pull the canopy, and then I was going to release my seatbelt and stand up. But if that's airspeed, I would have been hit the tail. See, I would have
Hmm.
died
Hmm. Hmm.
in 30 seconds. 30 seconds. The little voice said, "Trim it, trim it." As an airplane has had these, almost all airplanes have trimmed it with the wheels for the nose and for the rudder. See? Anyway, and so I rolled and I argued again. See, again, can you imagine anybody dumb enough to argue with a guided angels or, anyway, it's not going to do any good. There's no control. Trim it. So I reached over and pulled the wheel back, and I could just notice the nose going up. And, it was, and so we stuck with it, and we just came out on the deck doing 660. And so
Wow.
we survived that. But that was the longest 28 seconds because I knew couldn't get out, and I had to sit there with it. And would it go into the ocean, never to be seen again, or would it come out? So that was kind of a hairy.
Wow. What a
So
situation.
yeah. So another time where we were during the wartime, the the U.S. Navy had the flotilla of torpedo boats. In fact, MacArthur was taken from Corregidor on one of these boats and down to I think Mindanao where he hopped on a plane to Australia. But anyway, the um, this is torpedo boat. They had four. We were supposed to play with them and pretend give them some combat experiences, and so we met over the Sulu Sea, which is just outside of Zamboanga, and uh, and we looked down and here are these 16 torpedo boats.
Mhm.
And by the way, the ocean was perfectly calm on that day. So here are these beautiful wakes coming up from the front of the boat and from the engines. These beautiful white wakes coming up. There were 16 of them. They were all in a row, four, 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 and they're going along. And so then when we'd come down to attack them, we'd come out of the sun or we'd come out low. Every time they'd be ready for us. Well, of course, they had radar, under it. But anyway, and so, and then when we pull away, they go into a V's, they go into echelons. And it was these beautiful formations they make with these boats, these 16 boats, and they're all just, what they were doing, showing off, of course, because it was really beautiful. And but this idiot that was leading our two flights of P-38s, in other words, eight P-38s, he was getting frustrated because they were always ready for us. So we came out of the clouds, no, no clouds. We came out of the sun. Anyway, so he said to the four winds, no, well, there's no such thing as a four winds, but when we used to march in infantry, we would march in columns of four. And
Mhm.
you first rank to the right flank march, second rank to the rear march, fourth rank to the left flank march. And then they're all going in four different directions. See? Then they
Mhm.
say,
Mhm.
instructor would say, to the rear, punch, and then we go back to the rear and then come back and first rank to the right flank march, second rank to the rear. It would be all back together again. See?
Mhm.
Anyway, so this made marching a little bit more interesting than uh, Anyway, so two airplanes went, two P-38s went to the north, went to the south, two of the no, and we all come back. We're going to hit the same place. We're going to be in the same.
Oh gosh.
We're going to meet. These eight airplanes are going to be doing 400 miles an hour. That's 800 mile an hour explosion speed. How are we going to survive that? The little voice says, "Go low." Nobody's gonna go lower than me. See, so I'm my P-38 wings propellers are just above the water, just inches above the water. See? And I look, and up ahead of me here's this torpedo boat sitting stopped in the, and I'm going right. I can't turn because my wing would hit the water. See? And so I say, coming up 354 miles an hour, going out to the stand torpedo boat. And I noticed there's this gob, this enlisted man. He's standing on the deck, and this is maybe 3 feet above the water where the deck is. And then there was this little housing, maybe 3 or 4 feet above that, and had a couple. And then this, anyway, and he's standing there with his arms out, and he's in abject horror because he see me coming right at him. Actually, I'm lower than he is. You know, and his mouth is open. I can see his little white hat, and he has his winter's blues on, and he's standing there, abject horror. And just before I hit him, maybe inches, I would say 3 or 4 inches, I pulled up over him and over that. And then as soon as I got over the ship and I pushed the yoke down and I hit the deck again, and just then an airplane came from the right and it just missed me. If I had stayed there, above the same altitude as I was to clear that cabin, I would have hit that guy. Wow. See, but because I dived down, he came by and we looked down as we pulled away. We looked down at these torpedo boats. They're going in 16 different directions. They won't play with us anymore. See, you don't play with them. And it was beautiful. There's this star formation, all these wakes going on. Sticking. Anyway, so that's um, and then I had another experience. Another couple of experiences during the Korean War that was kind of interesting. Was that I had I'd had an accident in Yuma, Arizona, in a P-51, and I had landed. I was landing, and the right wheel was locked. Well, Keith was called ground looping. I put brake on the other one, yeah. So both tires blew out, and then the airplane nosed up and of course ruined the engine, and I turned it off. Maybe that. Anyway, so the uh, I couldn't. I had to. I wanted to go back to Minnesota. Minneapolis here. I'm in Yuma, so I hitchhiked. So I went up to an air base and I hitchhiked. Went to San Bernardino, and then I went to El Paso, Texas, and then I went to someplace in Oklahoma City, maybe, and then I went to Florida, then to New Jersey, and then to Washington D.C. By the way, I got to Washington, wandered around the Pentagon, and I didn't have any ID. Can you imagine? Wandered around the Pentagon. Anyway, finally, I got to Omaha, Nebraska, which is the bombing headquarters, the SAC headquarters. Where's your ID? I don't have one. You don't have an ID, and you're at our secret base here in Iowa. And I said, don't worry about it. Just look at the airplane. I came in a B-25, and look, I'm a mom on that. I know that. And the pilot will tell you I was on that plane. Now just get me out of here. Put me off the base and put me in a bus and I'll go to Minneapolis. And we go about 10 feet. And then I had to call you. Finally, the officer of the day had to escort me off that base. Anyway, I get home and I'm tired, see, because
Yeah,
you,
sure.
you're hitchhiking. You're trying to get an airplane to ride and you have to stay awake. And so I didn't have any sleep for a couple of days there, and I'm tired, and I just got through eating, and I got a phone call from my commanding officer, and he was a jerk.
Mhm.
He never went through. See, in order to become a squadron commander in those days, you had to go through you had to go through number four man, and then you come out, then you come a flight leader's wingman, and then you went to element leader, and then you flight leader, a base operations officer, and eventually you became commanding officer. This guy didn't do that, see. He went from training command because he was really eager. He worked 7 days a week, and the Air Force liked him for that because he was a good worker. But he didn't know about flight. Could never get any expert. I could get expert every couple minutes, and he never did. And so he didn't like me. And I, of course, I'm a reservist, and I'm not going to volunteer for anything. I just did my job, and I was all. But anyway, so he said, "Hop on an airplane. You got to go back to Yuma." I said, "I just got here. I'm a day fighter. I fly at daytime in the dark. Get in that airplane." I said, "There's a snowstorm out there. I'm not, it can't fly in this weather. Get in that airplane." And my wife drove me out there, and I jumped in this P-51, and it's cold, and it's night, and it's dark, and then there's snow and all, snowing like anything. And so I taxi out and check my mags, and then I got permission to take off, and I go, and I take it off. And I said, "Kill it, take it off. Something's wrong with this airplane." See, I had maybe 1,000 hours of deep if you want that. I can fly it fairly well. Anyway, if something's wrong with this airplane. Now, we used to have a joke as your grandmother would always say, "Be careful, please be careful, remember, fly low and slow." With that, that was funny. The last thing you want to do is to fly low. And you want to get as high as you can so you can bail out. Anyway, so this little voice said, "Fly low and slow." And I didn't have time to giggle, but I did it, see. And I staggered around, told the tower I'm Mayday and I'm going to land the airplane. I staggered around in that damn snowstorm bridge. You can't see out because the snow hits it, and you have to look out the window side. And then at night, anyway, so I landed the airplane. We taxied over, and what happened was the canopy on a P-51 is a bubble canopy, and it had two rollers, one on each side in front,
Mhm.
then one back. Well, one had come off, see. So it was only had two rollers on it. If I'd gone any faster, that damn canopy would come off. Well, it weighs 2,000 pounds, and it's like it's just cuts your head right off. Like a guillotine. Yeah, because no pilot has ever survived. And
Mhm.
so I luckily staggered around and hooked it up and took off. Of course, it got to me in Denver, and it was 6 to 9 inches of snow, and I stayed overnight. And then the next morning, I took off for
Wow. Thank you. This is great.
so anyway, that was so we all have a guardian angels if we listen. See,
We do.
most of us are busy. We don't listen. We don't take time to listen. And so that's I think a suggestion I have
Mhm.
is as remember you're godly, your sons and daughters of the Most High. See? And amazing things we can do.
So true.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Boot. This was a wonderful interview.
Thank you. And if you ever come out to Colorado, are you a skier?
Yes, I like to ski.
Well, listen, you're talking to maybe one of the best ski instructors in the country. I'm a worse ski teacher. No, I'm the best ski teacher, the worst ski instructor because I would find out what everybody needed and have 8 people. I had 8 different classes. See, each one would be going at their own speed. So the next day they wouldn't come back.
Oh gosh.
So the ski club never liked me to hire me because I just taught them how to ski and they didn't have to come back. I'm I'm a teacher. That's what I like to
I
do.
see. Then that would be exactly the right thing for me.
Yeah. One story about skiing. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
I wear snow mask, and my ski head of the ski school is Shine Erickson, phenomenal guy, really interesting. Anyway, so I have a day off, and so I'm going up and ski with about 9 or 10 inches of new powder there at that snow mask. And I'm going up in the ski, and this little girl comes up to me and said, "Say, can I ski with you?" And I recognized her as his wife of one of the ski instructors. And sure. So we go up there and I show her 5 ways how to ski, 4 ways how to ski power. And she's cute and she's a good student. She'll follow the instructions. So she learned to ski these 4 different ways. And then at the end of the day, there was a little hill off to the side no one knows about it. It's very steep, but it's not very long. And so I said, oh, but it doesn't have any transition. It goes from steep to flat, see, with no curve. It's just straight down. Anyway, so I said, now I'm going to go down and do turns. And then at the last minute, as I hit that transition, I'm going to turn and hit it sideways. But you won't be able to do that. So I want you to make this one big turn and one big powder turn, and at the end you're at a 45 degrees to that transition. So I go down and I can wait, look up. Here's straight down. See, goes down and boom. God, I thought she broke her neck. See, she comes like doing 80 miles, 30 miles an hour, and hitting a stone wall. See, oh God! Finally, I recovered. She didn't have a broken neck, but oh God, she was in pain. Finally, the pain went away. And why did you do that? Well, it looked like fun. Looked like fun. Looked like fun. So as we skied over and said goodbye, and she said, "Boot, I want to tell you something. This is my commercial, by the way. Boot, I want you to know that this is the most exciting day in my whole life." Oh, I can't prove it, but
What can you say?
listen, it's fun talking to you, and I hope you got as fun as I did. But, you know.
I do.
Or one. Never say goodbye, of course. Or one.
Okay. See you. See you. And thank you, Thomas, for helping me doing that.
Of course, Walter, we have to get you here to Summit County in
Yeah.
Colorado. Yeah, right?
Yeah,
Would be a nice guest to have here.
I will do my very best.
Okay, I'll be skiing this winter. I can show you how. Yeah.
Yeah, that
So,
would be wonderful. Thank you.
okay. Can you yodel? Oh, gee.
Have a
Can
great
you?
time.
Bye.
Thank you.